You see that bird's nest of wiring? That definitely has to go. Usually when you see stuff like that, this is aftermarket stuff that someone installed in the car that usually is because when they do it, the dashboard and everything is in the way, so they try their best to figure out how to route it the way they want. So one thing that I can do while my dash is apart is look under there, clean up some of this wiring. So in this video I'll show you how I clean up wiring on Project Bimmers. First thing I do here is I try to differentiate between what's factory wiring and what's aftermarket wiring. Usually if you see a bundle up of tape and wires that are zip tied, that's going to be aftermarket. If you clip the zip tie, use a pair of dikes and cut the zip tie off, clip the zip ties off, you'll start seeing those things start dropping down. Then you'll have like a bunch of whatever the components are, and then I can see what would be a better route so that they can get where they need to go, and then I'll start cleaning them out. So right now I'm just going to clip off these zip ties and see exactly what's factory and what's not, and then I'll get back to you. Alright, see, I'm starting to find a bunch of nonsense, like this tape, for instance, that they use. It was an alarm system installed, and this is the tape that I don't like, because this is all it does is it just peels off and it starts turning the wires all just black, and it gets disgusting. So it's everywhere, so all up under there is probably going to be a disgusting goo. So yeah, I wouldn't want that under my car. I don't want my shit looking like that. Look at that. That's just disgusting. So I'm going to clean all that out. The tape that I do use, that I recommend, I just don't want to bash on the tape that they use and not show you what to use. Hold tight, let me get it. This here, Teza tape. This is cloth tape, very industrial quality tape. It's what they would have used in here anyway, the factory tape that they normally use on BMWs, old school. If you can see that, that's old school from years ago, over 20 years ago, and they were using the same type of tape. See, so I'm gonna just go in, replace all this fucking bullshit ass tape here with quality Teza tape, and just get that done the right way. Route these wires. Like, there's some wires coming from the other side of the dashboard. I know they're not factory because they're just hanging like this. Those are probably from the alarm, maybe some output wires connected to like some locks or whatever. I didn't install this alarm. I do install security systems, so definitely not what I would have done, but hey, I'll fix it. So the alarm worked. I mean, the car worked, so I never dealt with it. I never had to. But now I want to try to restore this vehicle, so I'm gonna have to take all that out. Anything aftermarket, excuse me, that's in there that I didn't put in, just double check after the work and see if it's to my standard. If not, just fix it. Don't complain, just fix it. Okay, now we can work kind of sensibly. So what I was able to do was some of the wires, I cleaned them, literally took all that gunk off of them, because that tape, like I was telling you, is just horrible for these wires. So the next thing I'm going to do is I got this harness. This main little harness here has wires that are crossing over to this side up there, and I want to make sure that they route them properly. So I'm going to take them out of there, like this one, for instance, this ground wire. It runs all the way across, comes down through here, and then it goes up there. So instead of routing it through there, I'm going to route it up here, and then I'm going to come around, because if you notice, the factory uses this little loom here to come around there, and then they go to the other side of the car that way. So I'm going to follow the same route that the factory followed with the wiring, so it would eliminate all of that messy look, and that way I can clean up under the dashboard a little bit. It's just for my own personal benefit. I want it to look better. I know that it looks like this now, so just me knowing that, it bothers me. For you, you might not care what it looks like under your dashboard. You might let people work on your car and then do whatever, but for me it bothers, and I'm trying to restore the vehicle, so I have to get some of this down while the car is disassembled. The work got to get done. All right, see, so when I'm looking and finding, you know, disconnecting all that aftermarket crap that they had, excuse me, you see here, they definitely disconnected that. They had 4 wires, I guess, that needed to get a power connection, so they connected all 4 wires onto 1 wire here. So I definitely got to clean that up, but I clipped off the wires that they had. These are little pigtails from them. I clipped them all off, and they were trying to power up some relays. I figured out that they were for the door locks, but if you look at the connections, come on, man, you see that? This here is one of their little relays. Look at the wires. That's just shoddy work by any standards. I'm taking that out. This is another one. See? This here is their other one. Just the wiring is just a mess. It's just like, your wires shouldn't really look like that, because the quality of the connection actually depends on your wiring, how you connect everything. You know, that's the longevity of the product. That product would have failed eventually in the alarm. So yeah, I'm gonna take all that out. I'm gonna run it the way that's where they had it connected to up there. Yeah, you see, that's just horrible. You could tell, obviously, that's not factory. Factory wouldn't do that. Like, come on. I'm gonna fix all that, don't worry. So this is how I'm gonna fix it. I'll show you. First thing is disconnect it, and then just figure out a new wiring scheme. They probably didn't have space, I'm gonna give them that, but there's just no excuse for, you know, still making those connections. Make some proper connections. Those are door locks. So I'll just get a wiring diagram for how the door locks are supposed to be ran, why the relays are necessary, and then I'll run some relays for it. And then also fix that up, fix all the connections, make sure everything I'll snip all that off, put some good protectant over that. All right, so I'll be back after I fix up some of that nonsense. All right, so I've been in here for a little while making some sense of all of this. So I figured that it was pretty much all that nonsense up there was just an alarm system, a remote start alarmer, and it had this harness in there. Okay, it had power, ground, and all of that, but this car doesn't even remote start, never did. I don't even want the car to remote start, so I eliminating that harness. It was from this unit. It's a CompuStar. I'm very familiar with this. I know all about it. It's an older unit. It has a pinout on the back. It tells you what the wires are. So I was able to locate what harnesses were plugged into it, and for the most part, this was the main one here. And on it, this was pretty much all the wires that were necessary for the connections that I used on the alarm. The locks on this car, you need to run some relays to make them work. So now I understand why, you know, the relays were in here. So that was the nonsense that they had, all these nonsense wires. It just, all this was not necessary. The way they ran it, all this extra stuff, I ripped it all out. I'm gonna figure out a way to use this alarm. I tested it, it still works, and then I'm just gonna reroute the wires clean and mount the main unit, the brain, somewhere else, so that it's not gonna cause me to have any extra wiring bulk in that area. The only thing that I need from this harness are a few wires. I'm gonna run them like I showed you before, where the factory runs their wires over the top there. This here is just the antenna and the stuff that was from that alarm. Again, you know, it comes from up there, so they ran it down there, and they just literally jumbled up the wires and put some tape on it, and it just looked like a mess. So took it out of there. I'm gonna find a place for that. More than likely, I'm gonna put it on that side. There was a factory alarm on that side, so there's already space for an alarm unit. So more than likely, I'll put it on that side. Right? So for the most part, let me get to that. But this job is pretty much going to be me just cleaning up after the aftermarket stuff that was in there. The factory wiring is pretty clean. There's nothing wrong with that. If anything, what I could do is like replace some of the old tape that's on there. But my job here is pretty much cleaning up after somebody else, the work that they did, which sometimes you have to do if you buy a car, a used car, and it has audio or some electronics in it. Not to say that that's not good stuff to put in your car, but you want to make sure you do that stuff right. Okay, so if you continue watching Project Beamer channels, you definitely will learn how to do some decent wiring and fix up behind some other people's mess, guaranteed. I'll be back. Okay, I was able to clean up everything down there. I took the alarm completely out, and what I'm doing is I'm gonna run that alarm completely on this side. It seems to me to make more sense to run it over here. There's more logical space to mount the brain unit here. I can find a space for it easily, and then once I mount it, for the most part, all the connections that it had running to this side are right in this little area, so I can make the connections. I can shorten a lot of these wires. I don't even need the wires. They just try to bunch them up and tape them. Find where you need to make your connection. Give yourself maybe an inch or two extra for slack, and that's about it. And snip the wires so I could clean all that up. So I'm gonna do that. So pretty much what I was doing is uninstalling an alarm and reinstalling it. So I'm not gonna show you step by step how I install the damn thing. I'm just gonna reconnect the wires where they need to go, solder them, and tuck it up, and then I'll just come back and show you the cleaned result. I'll also show you how I'll route the wires for the audio. I'll show you how I'll do that too. All right, and then that concludes it, man, for the most part, until I come back cleaning up wiring. All right, so I'm in here cleaning up. Like, whoever was in here before, they must have done, I don't even know what the fuck they did. I can't even explain, so I'm not even gonna try. All I know is that here you see a white and black wire there, white and green, connected to some fucking whatever that is, and this, and like, what the fuck, dude. And then I'm looking up here, there goes with the same colors, black and white, black and green. So what I can guess, I can't even fucking say, but I can guess, they must have just was fucking around trying to install some shit, cut the wire in half, and then who the fuck knows, I don't even know. Instead of like resoldering the fucking wire like you should, just reconnect the wire, they try to, like, because all this shit here was what I disconnected from all those retarded relays that you seen in here, all these connectors. Who in the fuck knows what they were trying to do? Maybe trying to reconnect the wires back through science and magic or whatever the fuck. I don't know. I can't even explain, so I'm not going to sit here and try to figure out what they did. All I know is that when you clean up wires, sometimes you run into some shit like this. So the best I can do, I ripped out the tape that was here. This was you know, sorry, you can't even see what the fuck I'm doing. I ripped out the tape that was here. Okay. And I loosened all of this up. This was nice and tight from factory. It was nice and tight, but I had to loosen it up just so I can trace back the first half of these two wires that were here, because I wanted to see what the fuck they were doing with these wires, why they did this. And then tracing back this way, I noticed that, you know, if these wires are cut, the other end of them where they were cut from have to be coming from that way. So you got to trace back, and then what you can do is you can try to lean these all the way back as much as they can go, and then, you know, so you can see the length from where they were cut, because the end of where they were cut from should be over there at the same distance, so it should meet up. And then sure enough, when I go back that way, the other two wires are up here where they should be. So what I'll do is I'll take this fuckery off, and strip the ends of those and just solder the wires back together like they should be, and then that way I don't have to worry about whatever those things are not working or whatever. I don't even know what they were. I'm not going to sit here and track it down one part of my brain wants to so bad. It wants to just track down all this wire all the way through to the other fucking side where it's over there somewhere. All right, as you can see, what I did was I used the factory path to run all my wiring. You see these zip ties? I zipped everywhere where I'm making connection to where the factory zipped, and I didn't snip them yet, so that way you can see the route that I ran all the way up to where the factory ran their wires. Keep it nice and neat with where the factory ran their wires. I ran all my speaker wire in there, remote wires in there, RCA's in there, and it goes up to the front. Those loose wires you see there are what's going to end up going into the door. Okay, so I use this opportunity to run all my wires nice and clean. See, everything will be ran right along the factory path. See, okay, the factory has some paneling that you put back, so our wires that you saw before, they ran nice and clean in there. Goes under there, goes through the back channel, and then right where it's supposed to go to the back. Same thing over here. All wires come down from there, right under there, right under that channel, and right up under there. And the next thing would be to put the carpet back on. So we're gonna get to that, and then step by step start putting the car back together. Alright, just to take a look at the wiring, how I ran it. Right in here you see there's a grommet right there, and I have my power wire, and any wire that had to run through the firewall, I did it nice and neatly through that grommet so that there's nothing exposed. The way they had it ran before, they just removed the grommet completely and ran the power wire right through the side. But in order to do it the right way, when you're cleaning up wiring, you want to make sure you use factory grommets like that. I was able to get the huge power wire through because I drilled it with a unibit until it was the proper size for me to get that wire through. And then, you know, that's what I had to do. And then if you see, this wire here is for the siren for that alarm. So I'll just get power and ground inside, but I'll run this wire along a factory path so that it will look nice and clean. And that's pretty much how you clean up under here. Now let me show you the other side so you can see how that looks after I cleaned up all the mess that they had over there. There you go, it's all cleaned up. This is all factory wiring. It had all that nasty tape stuff on it, so I cleaned it literally with some tub of towels. Cleaned out over here. This is factory tape that goes over here. And yeah, so for the most part, a lot better than what they had going on before. And that's pretty much just a cleanup job of removing aftermarket alarm that was pretty much not installed to a professional standard. You want to keep the factory look. This is exactly how it would look from the factory. So that's there's a kick panel that covers all of that. There's a dash panel that covers this. You won't see any of it, but pretty much you don't, you know, want bundled up junk of wires. So that's the cleanup job there. You saw the other side. And yeah, that concludes it for the most part. What I'll do in the next video is I'll show you how I reinstall that same alarm on the other side and how much cleaner it can come out looking. All right, so stay tuned for that video. Thanks for watching.